Hello, welcome to Soulprint Intuitive Tarot. My name is Cindy. I'm very, very happy that you're here today, November 19th. So, now I'm recording this on the Thursday, not the Friday, so you're going to see it tomorrow. There's been a lot of chit-chat this week about, I think part of it, the reason is this Jonathan Carl he's a journalist. He has a book coming out, I believe it's called Betrayal. And there's been a lot of talk about, how close the United States came to, literally a coup, a successful coup, and just how incredibly sort of deranged, Trump had gotten and his followers had gotten. And so I thought that this would be a good time to just take a look with a little bit more depth of both the 2022 election and the 2024 election, because, they are blatantly, the Republicans are blatantly wrapping up their, stolen election nonsense. And I want to see if that's going to sort of somehow get curtailed or brought to heel. So, that's what we're looking at today. I do have my pendulum in case there's something I specifically want a yes, no. In fact, you know what? Let's do that now. Let's just do a couple of ones. For new subscribers, when my pendulum goes back to back, or side to side like that, it means it's ready to talk. Show me yes, please. You'll see it'll shift into a back and forth motion. Show me no. And round and round. Now you will notice some slight sort of tremoring of my hand. Part of the reason is the energy of my hand is used. It flows through me to the pendulum. And because this pendulum is very short. And so the shorter the pendulum, sort of the more movement you're likely to see, okay? All right, here we go. And I know that there are some people who don't think that my pendulum is as reliable as my tarot cards, and that's fine. But I will say that I probably have somewhere between an 85 and 90% accuracy rate with my pendulum. So I'm just putting it out there. Okay, so here we go. Let's just focus, please, on 2022. Are the Republicans going to assume control of the House? No. Is it possible at that time that Kevin McCarthy might actually lose his position of whatever it is he has, in the House? Whatever is one below, I guess, Nancy Pelosi. Is he likely to lose that position as a result of the 2022 election results? Okay, that's it. Now, I got to tell you, I just this second thought about asking that question, so that's really interesting. Are the Republicans going to lose power in the Senate? Are the Democrats going to lose power in the Senate? No. Okay, so let's just clarify. Are the Democrats going to increase their numbers in the House? It's a pretty solid yes. And are the Democrats going to increase their numbers in the Senate? Looks like. Okay. And listen, historically, they should lose seats. Historically, I think it's only been once or twice in the history where in the second, that midterm, the House actually gained seats, and the Senate gained seats. So if that happens, it's a pretty monumental thing. And it's going to happen, of course, because people are really energized to vote. Okay, so in the House, are the Democrats going to end up with at least, a slightly more comfortable majority? Okay. Okay. And I guess the final question is there going to be some variation of a Voting Rights Act that gets passed before the 2022 elections? Is there going to be something in place to try to, settle things down a bit there and open it up for voting? Okay, so yes. Okay. And are the Republicans going to try the same old stunts? The election was stolen and all yak. Yeah, it looks like they're still going to be up to their shenanigans in 2022. All right. So let's take a look and see what this looks like. I'm going to do sort of an overview, and then if I have to, I'll break it down into, cards for each party. Come on down. I have a question. Okay, here we go. One of the things that the Democrats really are going to have to figure out how to deal with is, people's frustration, voters' frustration that they didn't get everything that was promised to them, that, they didn't get enough, or, it didn't come out the way they hoped and anticipated with the infrastructure and with the Build Back Better bill. There's always going to be some groups that, feel that somehow they got, shortchanged. But again, if you give the House and the Senate bigger majorities, they, of course, are able to do much more, aren't they? Whoopsie. Oh, look, the sun flew out. So that's a good thing, right? It means, success. There's going to be success in those midterms. They're going to come out in a good way. All right. Here we go. Information regarding midterm election 2022. Information regarding midterm election 2022. Information regarding midterm election 2022. You would think at some point, hi Nova. Sorry. At some point, the whole, stole your election thing would get old. But let's also remember there's people in Dallas still lining the streets waiting for, JFK Jr. to come back from the dead and join Trump as, I don't know, a running mate or something. Like, has anybody realized that the Democrat, JFK, they were like Democrats? Just asking. Here we go. Okay, so definitely you're looking at, it's going to be hard work. It's not going to be a piece of cake. And, both parties are going to have to try to figure out what their strengths are and go with them. Unfortunately, the strength for one party is messaging, its truth, its honesty, as represented here by the Page of Wands. Okay, so this is another Democratic Party card. The other party, represented by the Knight of Cups, becomes the party that just rides on emotion. It riles everybody up. It gets them upset. It, convinces them that the sky is falling. And so this is now my Republican card. And, both of them are going to need to work hard at figuring out, how to do what they need to do. The problem is, the Democrats tend to be a little bit okay, quite a bit less aggressive. And while that's frustrating to some people, you know, I also, certainly from an outsider's perspective, the last thing I would like to see happen in the United States is that you end up with two parties who are amoral and vicious. And if the Democrats were to stoop to the Republicans' level, you know, that's really what you would end up with. But they're going to have some things on their side that are going to be very, very helpful for them. Yeah. So, no matter how hard the Republicans work, you know, what they spew for 2022 is more, you know, nonsense, right? I mean, this last election, it was about, the critical race theory, right? Nobody knew what it was, but boy, they were hell-bent that it wasn't going to be taught in their schools, even though in a lot of cases it wasn't taught in the schools, okay? So, like, that's kind of the mindset that you're dealing with here. It looks like the Democrats are going to have some fortune coming to bear. So, you know, what does that mean? Maybe they're going to be able to get a few more things passed that maybe look a little dicey right now. You know, people are going to start, I guess, seeing the rewards of some of the stuff that gets passed. And so that's going to build up momentum and enthusiasm. So there's definitely going to be, you know, underhanded nonsense going on, right? I mean, I'm usually, I tend to read the Magician as sort of a positive card, but in this case, I really am reading it more about in a trickster kind of way. And, you know, just today, Thursday, they announced that, you know, indictments have been issued, or whatever the word is, for two Iranians who were behind some really, really threatening messages that went out under the name of Proud Boys. So, you know, more and more information is going to continue to come out about a couple of things. One, about how unstable things were in the 2020 election, right? How really, really unstable they were. And some of those people who stood by, you know, they always, Trumpers are they're just going to be, you know, at some point, you just sort of got to resign yourself to the fact that 25 and 30% of the population of the United States at this point in time isn't thinking straight. Okay? But, you know, that's the same approximate percentage of people who think that in Canada we live in igloos. So there you have it. So, you know, they're going to be up to their tricks. They're not going to let go. They're not going to back down. You know, I wouldn't be surprised on the Democrat side if you didn't have, oh my goodness, the Lincoln Project. You know, organizations like that kind of doing some of the hard hitting for the Democrats, just like they did in 2022. So the Democrats were able to sort of, you know, rise above it, if you will. And the Lincoln Projects and other associations or groups like that were, you know, really important and paramount in getting the more negative messaging out. Interesting. Okay, so it looks like, generally speaking, by time we roll into the fall of 2022, because what I have figured out so far is that it is usually right after Labor Day, when everybody sort of wakes up and goes, oh, God, you know, there's an election coming up. I mean, people who are really involved in, you know, politics and watch it very closely, you know, they know that, you know, it's already started. But Labor Day seems to be that date when everybody goes, oh, okay, there's an election coming up. I need to start paying attention. For whatever reason, and I don't know what it is just yet, but for whatever reason, there's going to be a real strong sense of the country continues to need balance. It continues to need that center-like attitude. Remember what I said, I think it was in my last reading about the pendulum swinging, right? Ideally, you always want the pendulum sort of center, because then you're gathering energy, from both sides, right? And there's also going to be, this can often be my card for Joe Biden at the Ace of Swords. And so there's also going to be, I think around that time, you're going to see him really, really enjoying a significant approval rating. Okay. Follow the money. Follow the money. There's going to be some shady money coming in. But it looks as if this time it's going to come out much faster, and it feels as if that in and of itself may be part of what creates this real sense of judgments against some of these Republicans who were like, you know what, enough is enough is enough. People are looking at the Republicans, I don't know if I said that right, who are saying enough, right? This is crazy. We want, something that we recognize as normal. We want something that stops being crazy. We want something that stops making us kind of, the laughing stock of the world, because we have, 30% of our lunatic population controlling the entire country. Whether it would be with, reproductive rights, whether it be with voting rights, whether it be with, infrastructure, whatever. People are going to get to that place where they're like, listen up, we're starting to see sort of the fruits of what's going on, what Biden did in that first term, and we are happy to give him more energy to be able to continue to do what he needs to do. And hopefully the Democrats are going to be smart enough to really hold on tight to that message and really make sure that that message gets across. You give us more, we can do more. Just as simple as that. You give us more seats, we can do more for you. Again, because most people are not paying attention to the intricacies, right? So it's like the average person knows that Joe Biden promised an infrastructure bill, and then he got elected. And it took until, November for that infrastructure bill to pass. That's what they know. They're not paying attention to the fact that the Senate was being blocked left, right, and center, that there is literally no margin for error in the Senate. They weren't paying attention to that stuff. All they knew was something was promised and it finally got delivered. And everything in between there was frustration because it magically didn't appear on, February 1st. Because, really, 2 weeks should be enough for a new president to be able to, start, passing this sweeping legislation, right? That's what you're dealing with here. But for whatever reason, there definitely looks like there's going to be stuff going on that really, really is going to support in a really good way the Democrats. It's going to really support this continuing sort of righting, if you will, the country, okay? Interesting. It also, I would not be surprised in the next little while. There is so much stuff going on that we have sort of honestly lost track of. There's stuff going on in Georgia. There's stuff going on in Kentucky where they're looking at the 2020 elections. There is stuff across your country. And a lot of these investigations, etc., are going to start bearing fruit in the next little while. It feels very much like spring, I guess, in summer. Our early summer it's going to be like a floodgate of information comes out. And that doesn't mean it's going to be a trickle between now and the spring. Just that it feels like in the spring, it's really going to open up and more people are going to be like, oh my God, what the heck was going on here? So 2022 actually looks pretty secure. There's going to be justice handed out. There's going to be, people are going to see that some things are simply just not going to be allowed just because. They're just not. Okay, so there's 2022. Now that doesn't look too bad. Let's hope that, the energies continue to support that kind of a, you know, I guess result, right? All right, we're going to take a look at 2024. And, you know, I have always sort of said that I thought Joe Biden was only going to run for one term. I always saw him as a one-term president, and I know at some point in the campaign, he did make that statement. He very much felt that he was sort of the transitional president, right? He was going to come in, kind of right the boat, and then let, you know, someone else sort of take over. And I have said that I thought that Kamala Harris had a really, really good chance of becoming the first, not only the first female black president. That energy is not as solid as it once was, and we're going to see if that firms up a little bit. So let's just take a look and see what we can see. Okay, so what I'm hearing is a Democrat in the White House, and I'm getting a, energetically, I'm feeling like a smaller margin. I think the Democrats are going to hold the House and the Senate, but it feels like it's going to be a much narrower majority. Okay, it feels sort of like it's going to be, you know, maybe even closer to what we have right now, right? Where the Dems can get stuff done, but there's going to be a lot of blocking. And frankly, by then, I got to tell you, I think some of these real dinosaurs are going to be out of the game. Okay, here we go. Federal election 2024, federal election 2024, federal election 2024. You know, you can only yell, you know, stop thief, stop, so many times before people just don't buy it anymore. And that's, you know, when I look at the Republicans, the energy I get is, you know, like, what was that, Chicken Little, who yelled and yelled that the sky was falling down? It's sort of like that, right? It's like people are going to get really, really sick and tired of hearing about these stolen elections and voter fraud, and it never turns out to be accurate and true. And I think by time the midterms are over and you're rolling around into the federal election, hi, sweetheart. Sorry, Twyla's just right here. I guess she wants to say hi to everybody. Do you want to say hi? Twyla, say hi. Okay. Okay. People are going to get really sick and tired of hearing it. And I think they're going to push it really hard in 2022. And I think by 2024, people are going to be like, already shut up about it because you're just lying, right? Ooh, okay. And so we have the Ace of Cups, and we have the Two of Cups, and the Six of Cups, and the Six of Wands. All right, so at this point, energetically, it looks as if with the right, the word I'm going to use is partnerships, but the partnership really is between the politicians and their constituents. With constituents who are really, really engaged, they are going to be able to land that victory. The Democrats are going to be able to land that victory. And, you know, again, people don't want it to go back to the way it was as much as they want a refreshed version of it. They want their politicians to get along. They want things to be bipartisan. They don't want this, you know, political maneuvering that is so underhanded. It's, you know, it's subterranean, right? I mean, it's just disgusting. So it feels as if there's going to be some shifts about literally what people want and are ready to tolerate within their own government. And I have to tell you, by 2024, it really does look, like a lot of the sort of never Trumper stuff is going to be, waning. And I've long said that Trump is not going to run in 2024, and I'm not seeing that he is. He's going to drag it out right till the very, very last minute. And then he is going to, come up with some reason that he can't. But as long as he's keeps saying he could or he would or he might or he should, that keeps the dollars rolling in, okay? And if there's one thing he's figured out, it's how to run a grift. Let's just double check with my pendulum while we're here and just confirm. Okay, pendulum, is Donald Trump going to take a second run for the presidency in 2024? Is he going to take that run? No. No. Doesn't look like he is. Okay, and while the pendulum's out, are the Democrats going to take the White House in the federal election of 2024? Yes. Okay. So again, this is interesting. Energetically, I'm feeling that the King of Cups and the Judgment and the Ten of Pentacles is actually talking about the Supreme Court. And it feels as if some of the court's judgments are going to need to be, well, not going to need to be, but they will be reversed as a result of a shift within the Supreme Court and the people on the Supreme Court. And so some things that really feel sort of stuck or as if they're backsliding, that actually feels like that there could be some significant changes in the Supreme Court that allows things to, at least kind of sit somewhere in the, I don't know, 2001, 2010, 2020 kind of mindset and mentality, right? Where you kind of have this, the world is progressing forward. We can't keep stepping backwards because you have these Neanderthals who, just don't want anything to change because they're money hungry, greedy so-and-sos. Yeah, it's interesting because it looks as if 2024 is almost going to be like an ending and a beginning. But it doesn't feel like it is an ending for the Democrats. It feels like it is an ending of this incredibly divisive politics. And listen, you've got some crazies in the Republican Party, and they're probably going to keep getting reelected for a few more cycles anyways. But feels as if by that point, people are going to really, really have just had enough. And so the Republicans are going to be struggling to figure out, one, how to fundraise, and two, how to sort of change their message midstream. And it feels as if they're not going to be as successful as, it sort of appears at this point that they might very, very well be. And so interesting, here's my Queen of Swords. This has often been my Kamala Harris card. So that's interesting that she has showed up. And she's showing up with the Wish card. And she's showing up with the Strength card. So interesting, it's very possible that her energy could kind of rebound. And there's like all this malicious gossip going on right now about how she's not getting anything done and, stuff just doesn't look good for her and staff's having all these problems. And this is nonsense. This is just nonsense. I'm telling you energetically, it's crap. And it's not being spread. It's being spread by the Republicans because they have to attack at least a token black person, I don't know, every 6 months, right? So it feels as if she is going to be functioning from a place of strength as they go into the 2024 elections. And those who are not functioning for the greater good and the highest good are going to be out in the cold. They just are. Yeah. So this is the thing, right? The country's going to move forward because that's what it's going to do. It doesn't look like democracy is in jeopardy, although I appreciate it really feels like it right now. There is just so much coming out that really is kind of frightening to realize just how close and just how kind of crazy things were around the 2020 elections. But, you know, again, this is ultimately and always, it needs to be a partnership between the politicians and their constituents, the people who vote for them. And when the people that vote for them get lazy or apathetic or, you know, frustrated because they didn't get everything, that's where you're going to have problems. As long as people really can understand, I mean, I think that that's, you know, the message going into, you know, not only 2022, but 2024, which is the more we have, the more you get. Right? The more seats we have, the more you get. And don't kid yourself. That's going to be energizing the other side too, because they realize that the more people get, the, you know, the less their attitudes, their bigoted, homophobic, etc., attitudes are going to lose power, okay? And there's Donald Trump, the fool. There's going to be information coming out about money on him. Yeah, he's going to decide not to run. It's going to be, okay, I don't know. He's, like I said, he's going to drag it out, but it's not going to work for him. It's just not. I don't even know if he's going to be around. I don't even know that. But if he is, he'll be dragging it out as far and as long as he can. Okay. So thank you so much for being here today. To my new subscribers, welcome to the Soulprint family. I'm so glad that you've joined us. Don't forget, on Saturday morning, the Pick Your Crystal weekly readings will be out on this channel, on the Soulprint Intuitive Tarot channel. And if anybody is interested in, you know, personal readings, we're going towards the end of the year. If you want to take a look at what 2022 is bringing, or you want to look at specific situations, the information for a private reading is in the description box below. Right now, I am booking like the beginning of December. And of course, December is a short kind of month in terms of my schedule being opened, because of course, you know, there's holidays and stuff. So anyways, just so you know that, if that's anything that interests you, until next time, take care, be well. We'll see you really, really soon. Bye-bye.